Hi and welcome to another tutorial with Unity 5. Today I'm going to show you how to create a pop-up menu and it will have a button on it that will hide the menu. Now this sounds easy, might sound easy if you've been using Unity for a while like I have, but I found out today that there's something a little odd in the way that you have to do this, and I had a look on the forums and couldn't find anything particularly useful, so after playing around a bit I figured out how to do it. Now the reason you might want a pop-up menu or a pop-up box in your scene is that you're giving the user some information, or at the beginning of the game you're going to pop up a little information box that tells you something about the gameplay or gives you instructions, and then you want a OK button or something on the bottom to make it disappear. Alright, so first of all let's create a panel, and we'll just go into 2D view here so I can see it. Okay, here's our panel, and we don't want it to take up the whole screen, so we're just going to make it like this, and you can style it to whatever you like later on. Let's say we want that right in the middle of the screen. Then with it selected over in the inspector we can select this little transform here and click to center the anchor point, and then if you Alt and then click it, it will also center it. Like if you went up there, it would move it up to the top or down to the bottom, but we're going to put it in the middle. Now the next thing we need is a button, so let's add UI button. Okay, now notice I had panel selected when I went through the menu. Right click UI button, that will parent the button to the panel. So when this panel disappears eventually, we want the button to go with it. So here's our button. Just zoom in a bit here, bring that down to the bottom, and we're going to write on that, select the text for it and turn that text into close. Okay, so now we have a panel with a child button on it. To make this panel close, what you might try and do is this. So if we create a C# file, let's call it, let's control panel, and double click to open that up. We're going to add a public function into here, public void close, and in that function if we put this dot enabled equals false, then when this piece of code runs, you would imagine that whatever this is added to will then disable the particular object. So just save that and go back to here. Apologies for my neighbour's V8 engine that you can hear in the background. I'm going to add this to the panel. Okay, it's now got the control panel script on it. And to get that piece of code to run, this function here, we can get the button that we've created to call it because it's public. So if we select the button and in the inspector have a look at its on click properties, currently there's none, so we can add something, and we can choose to run a function that's attached to a script that's on an object. So see here where we've got no object selected, we're going to grab the panel because it's the one with that script on it and put it in here, and look in our function list we can see control panel, and if we have a look down through all of the functions we'll find the close one, and this is probably off your screen so you won't be able to see it. I've just realized. Let me just make this a bit smaller. Going to do that, bring that across here, and then if we go control panel close, this button will run that function. Put that out here, and if we run it and click on close, Nothing appears to be happening. So let's just check that we are getting this code running by putting a debug.log closing window in here and save that. Switch back, play, hit the close button. If we have a look in our console, oops, not that. Here you can see that that closing window is indeed running. That function is running, but it's not closing down the panel that we wanted it to close. So we can't do it this way, basically. What we want instead is an external object that's controlling the opening and closing of the panel. So just grab that panel again and let's remove the script from there. We're going to create a empty object. Let's call this UI controller. That'll do. And we're going to add our script onto that there. Okay, so the UI controller now has control panel script, but the script doesn't know about the panel. So let's just open up control panel script again, and we're just going to add an exposed variable here, public game object the panel, which will point to our panel. And instead of this enabling of this, it's going to be the panel. And we can't use enabled anymore. We have to use the set active function. Okay, so now we've got the panel and we're going to set it to false. What it will do is set all of the children to false as well. And that will make sure that anything on that panel that's a child of it will disappear when we disable it. Okay, so we've saved that. We flick back to Unity. Now this script is here. And you can see that there's this exposed panel variable now because we made it public. We want that to be this panel, so we can drag that across, put it there. Now we have to go back and hook up that function to our close button, because before it was added to the panel, and you can see it's now missing in the on click. So we're going to grab the UI controller and then select from the control panel that saying close function. Okay, and now if we run it and hit close, our panel disappears. So that's the way to make it remove itself. Now if you want to bring it back, that's easy enough. We can just go to the canvas and add a new button. UI button here. Now this button is not childed to the panel because we don't want it to disappear when the panel does. So this button will be close. No, it won't be open. Open. Okay, so that's going to open when it's clicked on. So we need to create some script to open. And we'll use this script again, but we'll write public void open. And in here, we're just going to grab this line, copy it and put it down here and change this to true. While I'm in here, I'm going to get rid of this debug line because we don't need it. Okay, so that's our final piece of code. We'll just save that and switch back to Unity. Okay, we don't have to do anything with our controller, but we do have to grab our new button and add a that function to it. We're going to add in, oh, I don't need to do that, this UI controller. And then from the function list, again, I'm just going to make this smaller so you can see it, drop the function list down, control panel, and we've got the open function here. So we select that. Okay, when we run this, We can now close with that, open with that, close with that, open with that. So this allows you to have multiple pop-ups within the same scene instead of having to switch scenes if you want different menus and that to display. And all you need to do really is to grab the code that's attached to your UI controller and put all of the functions and controls in here. If you've got another panel that you want to control, then you would just copy this code, make that panel 2, grab this and okay, this is close panel 2, open 2. This would be 2 and 2 in here, and you would have buttons that call these functions. And so you've kind of got this global controller for all of your panels, and it keeps it nice and neat and all in the one place. Right, so that's the end of that tutorial, nice and quick, and it should give you some idea of how to open and close panels. Thanks for listening.